So we're playing Wolverines in 2012. It's probably 5 degrees outside. I look over at Mike. His face is like bruised up, and he's like got a little mark on his face right there. And I'm, what the hell happened here? Found out that the players were all headbutting each other, and someone got right in the middle of it. His name was Mike Vrabel.
It was right here. It split me up. I had 6 stitches, and they wrapped like gauze around my head, and then put a beanie on.
Light it.
Welcome to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Frosty Fusions with flavors like Caramel Crunch, Oreo Brownie, and Pop-Tart Strawberry. Memorial Day edition. It's coming up in a couple days. Happy early Memorial Day weekend to you guys, all those who served out there. Looking forward to it. Welcome to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Rob Stone, Urban Meyer, Mark Ingram II with you. Thanks, as always, for being part of our family here at the Triple Option. We encourage you to rate, subscribe over at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. You can find us on social media, 3X Option Show. New episodes every Wednesday on YouTube, wherever it is you get your podcasts. Coming up on this week's edition of the Triple Option, we'll have New England Patriots head coach Mike Vrabel will join us. But first, we get strapped in, presented by NHTSA. Not wearing your seatbelt could cost you a ticket or your life. Don't risk it. Click it or ticket. Memorial Day, as we mentioned, right around the corner. College football community, the military communities, coach, they've always kind of come together. They always kind of seem to hold hands, if you will. Great relationship between these two awesome products. So I'll start with you, coach, then to Mark. What does the military mean to you?
I was raised in a military family, and it's been a part of my life as far back as I can remember. And I serve on 2 foundation boards. It's by choice. It's the Folds of Honor and Veterans Golf Association. And Rob, you and I are going to head to New York City and speak at Catch a Lift, another veterans foundation or charitable program, supporting program. So I've also, in a selfish way, Mark, I've used the United States military as the ultimate form of selflessness and dedication with my teams. For every year I was a head coach, I was the basis of our team. Because if you can get a team of selfless people, like the men and women who serve our country, guess what, pal? You're not going to lose many games. And so much respect, much love for the men and women who serve.
I agree with you 1,000%, Coach. The men and women who have served our country and who serve our country, I have so much admiration and respect for them, for the selflessness, like you said, that they have to go out there and protect our country and give us, the freedom that we have. So super thankful to all the men and women who serve, all the men and women who have served. We are forever in debt to you guys. So thank you so much. And we love you, and happy Memorial Day.
Rob, yeah. I wish we could take, on those 2 USO trips to go see in Kuwait is where I went, and to watch what they do. Remember now, this is away from your families, and they're doing the hard. That's all you can say. Underlying the hard. What they're doing.
Those USO tours are amazing, Coach.
Amazing,
I did one
man.
in Italy and Germany, and it was an amazing experience, man. And I had to go out there. Yeah, I went out there with the German Shepherd. Had him on there, and they made me run from him, and he yanked me down. Oh, help me, please. But no, it's just an amazing experience, and shout out to all the men and women who have served our country and are serving our country. We love you.
For sure. And Coach, I do appreciate it. It was an ask on my behalf for one of my friends. You're coming to New York City this week. You and I are going to get together for the Catch a Lift fundraiser in this city. Catch a Lift
is it formed in
2010. No, you're always. We'll get you next week.
I'll just play. I'll just play.
It's helped thousands of post 9/11 combat injured veterans regain their mental and physical health through gym memberships, in-home gym equipment, personalized fitness and nutrition programs, and a peer support network. We forget that. When you serve, you continue to give back, right? It's just because you've left the military is still in you, and there's still some scars in there. There's still some healing that needs to be done. I can't wait,
Stoner. Thanks for having me,
mentally or physically. You're going to love it, Coach. It's the Catch a Lift Fund.
Throw them hearts, Coach. Throw it their heart, Coach.
It's awesome. It's awesome. And one last thing as we close it on Memorial Day weekend, I want to give a shout out to my wife. She did just an awesome thing a couple years ago during Memorial Day weekend. I was out of town, and she had all 4 of the kids, and she said, guys, the Memorial Day weekend is not about a 3-day barbecue bender, right? It's about honoring and paying your respect to those that have essentially paid the ultimate price, or those who continue to serve your country. And up near Westwood, near the campus of UCLA, there is a huge military graveyard, for lack of a better term, and she took them out there, and they placed American flags, and they walked around, and they had some moment of introspection.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I think more people need to do that. You know, we went to Normandy a couple years ago after covering a Women's World Cup, and we're like, yeah, all of us, let's go. We're gonna go down to the beaches. We're gonna find these foxholes. We're gonna take this tour. We're gonna go, to these graveyards and pay your respects, man, to these people who have done so much to put us in a position where we can have a great 3-day weekend. And we need to understand why we have it and pay our respects to those who helped us achieve it. So
amazing job.
Next, yeah, here we go. Good job to my wife, Lynn Stone, by the way. All right, coming up next on the Triple Option, we talk to a Patriot, but of a different type of meaning. The new head coach of the New England Patriots, Mike Vrabel, joins us next.
Light it.
If you love Wendy's classic Frosty flavors, we have got some big news for you. There are all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors. So, yeah, it's the same creamy treat that you've always loved, now with a flavor refresh. So what are these new flavors?
Well, Stoner, thanks for asking. There are a lot, so I'm just going to list them, okay? We've got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel. Then we've got the blended Frosty Fusions, caramel crunch, Oreo brownie with swirl thick brownie batter sauce and crunchy Oreo cookie pieces, and Pop-Tarts, strawberry with a street strawberry sauce and chunks of crazy good Pop-Tarts pieces.
You know your flavors. Not to mention that, yes, you can still get your classic vanilla. Try them all and find your favorite.
Are you going to be a strawberry swirl girl, a caramel craze fanatic, brownie batter buff, Pop-Tart strawberry fanatic, Oreo brownie stay?
These are all really, really good questions, Mark. Anyway, whatever flavor you're craving, odds are we've got a Frosty for it. So check in for sweet treat time with Wendy's, all new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic? Gotta be Wendy's. This postseason, BetMGM, authorized gaming operator of the NBA, is making first field goal score wagers more exciting with Second Chance. With BetMGM's Second Chance promotion, you'll get your stake back in cash if your first field goal score scores second instead. Yeah, that's right. Simply bet on any player to score the first field goal during any playoff game. Any game, doesn't matter. And if you're right, you win. But if your pick scores second instead of first, you get your stake back and you get it back in cash. Grab the chance at getting your stake back at BetMGM. See BetMGM.com for terms. This U.S. promotional offer not available in D.C., Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. For West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. Subject to eligibility requirements, in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Welcome back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Excited to welcome in one of the best to ever wear the scarlet and gray, 3-time Super Bowl champion, and the new head coach of the New England Patriots. Mike Vrabel, man, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you, big dog.
Appreciate you having me, man. I was going to wear the hoodie. I just figured I couldn't cut the sleeves off.
Hey, I don't want you showing me up. I know you still stacked up, dog. So, you know what I mean?
Hell I am.
Mark, you said you got a little piece of Vrabel, or he got a little piece of you over the years. Which one happened?
Yeah, man. We had our share of run-ins, man. I respect him a lot as a player and respect him a lot as a coach. I know what his teams are built on, the ones that I played against, the Ravens and Titans. We had some battles from head-to-head. So I know what he's about. And he's a coach that I would have loved to play for sure.
He kept saying we should trade him in for Derrick Henry. We should trade him and Derrick Henry. He said, I'm the real Bama running back.
You know what's up. Hey, I helped you have that. You know what I mean? I helped you groom that right there.
Perfect.
Hey, Mike, I want to hit everybody. I think this is going to be a really good story. But in 2005, I get a phone call from Bill Belichick. I just take the Florida job from Utah with Alex Smith. And he calls me and he says, hey, this is Bill Belichick. And I said, yeah, this is Pete Rose. I started joking around and saying, And he said, no, it's really Bill Belichick. I'm like, oh, damn. And he said, I've studied your offense. I want to bring Josh McDaniels down. We're going to study some of the spread offense you guys are doing. So he comes down. We strike up a great relationship for years. He invites me up in spring of 06 for mini camp. And I think to this day, I still share that that's arguably the greatest locker room I've ever witnessed, and I think that maybe ever existed. You had Tom Brady, Bruschi, Vrabel, Rodney Harrison, Vince Wilfork, and many others. But I was dealing with some stuff like all players, like all coaches. You had lazy, you had just shit going on in your locker room in 05 and 06. This is the first time I met you. I sit down with you. And I remember it was you, Bruschi, and Tom Brady. And I said, guys, just let me grab you for 5 minutes here. Because I was amazed. This is after watching mini camp I saw Mike Vrabel with a beanie on his head running down as hard as he could on scout kickoff. I see Tom Brady acting like a 2-minute drills. He's trying to win the Super Bowl. Bruschi's running the entire defense. And here's what Mike Vrabel told me. He said, Coach, our job in the locker room, we don't put up with anything in this locker room. We find players. We hold people accountable. It's my job, our job, to keep it off of Bill Belichick's desk. That's what he told me. And I used that with my team. We won the national championship that year. You remember when I was a coach at Ohio State, I told people the stories about that locker room. Great players, great coaches come and go. Great locker rooms are, I think, damn near impossible to get. Take us into that locker room and tell us how in the world do you get that going again in New England?
Well, I think that's the biggest question, right? Is not what it was. It's how do we recreate that? And I think that I was always trying to search for that. And I think you start by investing in people. I think you have to be able to have some talent to play in this league. You can't win games without talent, but I thought we were very intentional in free agency. We had to reinvigorate some of the talent on this football team, and some of the people that we brought in hopefully can do that, right? Because my job and your job when you were a coach is to protect the team. And that's the most important thing, is the team. And so if the players are willing to do it, great. And if they can't, then that's where I have to be able to step in and do my job and hold people accountable and put them in the right places. And hopefully if you get enough of those players and they compete and they embrace that, right? And I think the closer that you become to each other, the easier it is to hold a guy accountable. If I don't know Mark and I'm like, Mark, you're not really running that hard, or you're not finishing runs, he's going to bow up and he's going to be like, why are you, who are you to tell me this? But the more I get to know Mark and the more his family and the things that he cares about and the things that are important to him, then it's like, Mark, get your pads down, man, and run through contact. And you're going to have to break. We can't block them all. And then he starts to say, you know what? He's right. I'm not finishing like I should. And so I think it does start with the connection piece that I think is critical, so that you can do that from a teammate to teammate perspective, and then from a coach to player perspective.
Hey, Coach, I wouldn't question you if you told me that. I would figure out how to get my
well,
pads
because
down
you're
and run
old
through
school.
contact.
You know what I mean? We're getting a different player now. I know you want it, because I know where how you were raised and how you were coached, but it's different. Like, we are getting a different player. This is I think the players should be paid. I think they should be compensated.
Yeah.
But the ability for them to kind of move when they want to move, is taking the team aspect away. And that's okay. Like, we'll figure it out, but we just got to figure out which behavior we can actually change when it gets to the league, because the team is critical in this game. It's a long season. It's a tough season, and the team is the only thing that's going to get you through, some of those tough times.
Hey, before I turn over to Mark, I just want to really stay in this locker room conversation because I'm still mesmerized by it. So I remember Coach Belichick and Matt Patricia were very close with. And they would take maybe a player, he actually used these words, a peripheral type player. And a peripheral player is maybe that has a reputation of being selfish, or, we're all selfish, but just maybe not a team first player. And then you see New England take these guys back in that era, and they became team players. And I remember hitting Mike Vrabel. I remember hitting you guys with that. And you said you would go to the staff, and I think Brady even said this somewhere, I'll handle this guy. You know, this is the way we do business here. It's because you got grown-ass men running a locker room, not children. So hit us again.
So I think what we found out, like Corey Dillon was a great teammate. And Corey Dillon, the only thing I knew about Corey Dillon was that people in Cincinnati or somebody didn't like him in Cincinnati or said the media said like, but when he got here, I was like, this guy runs his ass off. Like he tries to break people's face masks with his form. And I'm like, you know, or Rodney Harrison, like Rodney showed up and I'm like, whoever said this guy couldn't still play should never evaluate talent ever again. Like this is crazy. So I think all you do is you have an open mind and you can only evaluate, like, I don't care how they get here. All I care about is what they do when they're here. So
Right.
if you can spread that message, like, who cares what you did or what people said about you? Like, whatever you do here is what I'm going to evaluate on you on, and the teammates are going to evaluate you on. So I don't even think any of these guys that Randy Moss, you know, Corey Dillon, any of these guys that came in, like, I thought they were like, had been with us for since 2001.
That's how you know that you got a good locker room, though, when you can get guys from the outside coming in like that and they feel at home. That's how a locker room thrives. That's why you guys are so successful.
And some of these great players, like they just want to be, they're just competitive. And if they were in a bad situation, like people lash out for different reasons, right? And so they maybe had a bad situation, or again, there's a contract, this or playtime or this relationship with the coach. Like, I don't know. It just, and there was never a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that just those types of players were ultimately competitive and they were great players and they came here and, you know, we built a team.
Yeah. I know we kind of talked about like the new day and age, the new school player, how they can kind of choose where they want to go and how that dynamic kind of, you know, will have to change their mindset kind of going to the NFL. But I know you're close to Coach Bill. What's your guy doing, man, going down to the Tar Heels, man, trying to get involved in this college era of NIL and all this?
I don't know. Like I didn't talk to Bill about his decision. Like I meant we talk but you know, we'll see. You know, I mean, I think that you know, 3 years in college was enough for me, and I took off to the NFL, and you know, I'm sure Urban told you. Urban didn't want to hire me. You know what I mean? He'll tell you he didn't want to hire me, or that was just his way of motivating me. And he did a good job because I learned a lot there. But I just, you know, just felt like the pro game was where I wanted to be. And if Bill feels like he wanted to go down to North Carolina and try to recreate that, you know, I wish him all the luck in the world until they play Ohio State.
So there was no thought about you returning to the college ranks?
Not right now. No.
All right, I gotta speak my piece here. So when he says I didn't want to hire him, I got hired at Ohio State, and I'm, you know,
he's trying to protect
interim.
himself.
You're damn right I am. And so Luke, I'm blown away with him. They play good defense, and I decided to keep Luke. And I love Luke Fickle. And he said, I got one guy I'd like to keep, and it's Mike Vrabel. I said, oh man, Mike Vrabel was a great player. And I said, I don't, you know, we gotta, you know, I just don't want to have too many guys from the past, and you just got to be cautious about that. So I said, sure, we'll talk to Mike. We talked to Mike, but I'm going on record. Mike's one of the finest. And one quick Mike Vrabel story is so the intensity. He's still damn near a player at this point, big sucker. And so all of a sudden we're playing the Wolverines, and you know where I'm going with this, Mike. So we're playing Wolverines in 2012. It's probably 5 degrees outside, Mark. And we, you know, to get the teams out of their damn mind, and we come out, we're playing our ass off. I look over at Mike. He's got a hat on, not a hoodie, like a stocking cap.
Beanie.
Yeah, and his face is like bruised up, and he's like got a little mark on his face right there. And I'm, you know, I don't have time to, you know, I mean, we're coaching and all. I looked at my car, I said, what the shit? What the hell happened here? Then later on, I found out that the players were all headbutting each other before the game, Mark, and someone got right in the middle of it. And his name was Mike.
It was right here. It split me up. I had 6 stitches, and they wrapped like gauze around my head, and they put a beanie on. And I mean, I was like out of it, and had all the betadine, and I was like yellow, and it was like dripping in my eyes and stuff. So Urban's like, okay, I'm going to interview you in the morning. And I tell this story to every person I interview to kind of like drop the shield a little bit. I said, however you do in this interview, it will never be as bad as my first interview. I had never interviewed. I coached for a year, and basically what I did is I coached the linebackers, but I really just made sure that they went to class and they showed up at practice on time because Luke coached the linebackers and was the head coach. So I was like kind of figuring my way out. First interview, Urban in front of the whole staff that he had just hired. I get up there. I mean, I draw this little circle, this little T talking about a 3 technique. And I mean, I just pissed down my leg. I had no idea. And he's like, "That is the worst thing I've ever seen." He goes, "I want you to go home, figure this out, and come back at 6 in the morning." And I was like, I go home. I said, "Jen, I don't know if I'm going to be coaching much longer." I said, that was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. And so then I stayed up. I went back to the office, stayed there all night, had a teaching progression, figured out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to explain it. And then he said, "Let's try this again at 6 in the morning." And we did a little better.
A lot better.
So I'm like, I said, better. Whatever interview you have, it cannot be worse.
You still use that story?
Every time, wow. Every single time.
Wow. Here's an all-pro. Awesome. What sold me was an all-pro. Here's a guy that doesn't have to do this. And he stayed there all night. And him and Luke, I mean, obviously a great success story. How about the Buckeyes winning the title? And still got to beat that damn team up north, though, man.
But I mean, they just pissed them off, I think. At least they used them to piss them off and the tournament. And I was there yesterday. There's just a lot of players. There's a lot of talent. I mean, the thing that I'm most proud of, coach, is, Doug Marrone is our offensive line coach. And Doug Marrone was with us on the visit to Pro Day.
Wow.
And Doug loves history. He loves and so you walk around there and he's looking at the former players, and I'm showing him Buckeye Grove, and I'm showing him all the All-Americans. Yeah. I'm showing the Woody Hayes chalkboard. I mean, this guy, he's been around football his whole life at a high level, and he's taking pictures of all the stuff and the tradition at Ohio State. And I'm like, you kind of take it for granted. But then when somebody else that hasn't been there, that loves the history of the game, is kind of taken aback, you're like, yeah, I guess this is pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah, coach, man, 2-time All-American at Ohio State, 3-time Super Bowl champion, NFL Coach of the Year. Now you're back where you started with the New England Patriots. Just signed Stephon Diggs. What are you doing, man, from your experiences not only as a coach and as a player? What are you enforcing what message are you driving home before the football is even snapped going on right now?
Right. And to me, it's about building a program. It's about building a program that the players, when they show up here in a week, are proud of, that they want to protect, and that they want to be a part of. Like, that's the first thing that we're doing. And somebody asked me, what does success look like? I get it. When it's wins and losses, it's either this or this, and that's in the season. But in April and May, success is that the players believe in what we're doing. They believe in the departments that are helping them. They believe in the coaching. They believe in the workouts. They believe in the message. They believe in what we're teaching them. Like, to me, that's the most important thing, is that they believe in what they're doing, and that they believe that the stuff that we're doing is going to help them support their families. And then in turn, the better they play, the better the team's going to play. So that's the message right now, is that we want to make sure that, we're supporting them and we're giving them everything that they need to improve.
Do you have to be cautious about, and I always tried to do this because players told me that before, you have to be cautious about, this is the way it used to be, constant, because the players at some point will say, enough of that.
What I want to do is, again, there's 6 banners that hang out in our stadium. And I've said this, that those are none of that is going to help us, right? But what that is that's a blueprint to success, and how hard you have to work, and what you have to do, and the sacrifices that you have to make. I try not to ever live in, man, this is how I did it, or this is how so-and-so did it. Cause I just have never felt like that has helped. But I know to be able to draw on some of those experiences from that success is going to help us, but not how it's going to be. You don't want to do things the way we always have, because you'll get what you always got, but you want to have a reason for why you're doing things. You want to make sure that there's, again, that there's a clear message, right? It's clear, concise, and being direct. And those are things that I learned early on from you, and about how important teaching is. And mobile classrooms that we do, and the walkthroughs and the screens, and getting them up out of a traditional classroom setting. And there's a lot of things that I learned early on as a coach that I've carried with me.
Coach, man, we really
Those
appreciate
things
you.
sound familiar,
Yeah.
Coach?
Clear, clean, concise, and direct. And direct is the most important. And that came from one guy, Woody Hayes. I remember the day I walked into Ohio State in 1986. And that is, Mark, you know what direct teaching is? It's teach the teacher. And that's when so many times you walk in, and Mike became excellent at it. You walk into a room where a coach is coaching, and says, everybody got me? Good. Like, whoa. Everybody got what? The player's got to be able to spit back what the coach just said. And that came from Woody Hayes. That's a Woody Hayes-ism. And I carried it with my entire career.
Tell me the next time somebody says, hey, does anybody have any questions? Tell me how many people raise their hand. There won't be one single person that raised their hand. Everybody's looking to get the hell out of there. So I get hired, and Urban's like, hey, I want you to speak at the Ohio High School Coaches Association. And Ohio is a good football state, right? And they come down here, and they come for the weekend. And so I've got the time at 4:00 on Friday, right? Which is probably the worst possible time you could have, because there's 600 high school coaches looking to get to happy hour and drink beer, but they got to listen to me speak at 4:00. I said, fellas, I'm going to be as fast as I possibly can, because I know you guys are itching to get to happy hour. And they started laughing. I was like, well, at least we're off on the right foot here. I said, they're just setting me up for failure. Speak to these guys at 4:00 before happy.
Right. Hey, Coach, man, we appreciate your time. We know you're busy, but what we do on the show is, man, we've been shooting you a question for 20 minutes. Now you got a chance to fire one back at us. You can ask Coach, you can ask myself, whatever you want. Yeah. And we'll give you the opportunity to shoot one back at us.
Who was if you had to gain 1 yard, which lineman would you want to run behind in your career?
Man, I think I've ran behind a couple Hall of Famers, man. So I'd have to go Jari Evans from the Saints, or I'd have to go Marshall Yanda from the Ravens. Those were two of the best guards to ever play the game. And
how big were they?
Man, they were, probably like 295, 305, but just
not big guys. Like Marshall Yanda was like he would have been like in the outside zone world.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
But just to follow them on a traditional power
pad level.
Yeah.
What was your favorite run? What would you want Urban to call?
Man, I love the power. I love the counter. I love my pullers. I love my pullers. But I also love the inside zone. I just want the rock, Coach. I just want the rock, man. So I love the inside zone. You get to press. You get to use your vision. You get to feel the cut back.
Get back behind the B block.
Yeah, man.
Get back behind the B.
Yes, sir. And then get vertical, and then make your magic happen. But
I'm an offensive guy now. You know what I mean? I spent 6 years in Tennessee. I'm head coach. I'm consultant.
I love the way
I'm offensive.
I loved your offense at Tennessee. I'll just tell you that. The way you would hand the ball to Derek 30 times a game, that's me, man. I love that.
Play action. Oh, you was 30 times. It sounds like every running back that's ever carried the ball 30 times.
Are you a 3-4, 4-3 on defense, Mike?
I mean, the base, which is only 20% of the time, will be like a 34 structure. But I mean, most of the games played the substituted defenses anyways. Like, these nickels are becoming the most important position, or one of the most important positions. It's a playmaking linebacker that can blitz, that can cover, that's instinctive. There's so many bubble relief throws that they got to be able to tackle. And, there's trying to find guys that can play man also in the slot.
Well, thanks for your time, brother. Love your family.
You got it, man.
I wish you best.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Coach. We appreciate it.
You guys ever need anything, you want to come up, maybe do the podcast from training camp or something.
Yes, sir.
See you, Mike.
Wait till it gets warm. Right. Urban likes that sun.
Yeah. Right. Me too.
Light it.
Driving without a seatbelt could cost you everything. But despite that, there are still drivers on the road who just won't buckle up. Some of those drivers will be pulled over and they'll be given expensive tickets by law enforcement. Some of the drivers not wearing their seatbelts will be involved in crashes. Some will survive, some won't. Wearing your seatbelt could be the difference between making it home to your loved ones and not making it at all. Every day, when you get in your vehicle and decide whether to buckle up, remember that it is the single most effective way to protect your life in the event of a crash. Make it home safely to the people you care about. Don't risk it, click it, or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA. Welcome back to the Triple Option presented by Wendy's. Urban Mark Rob back here with you. Time now for Treat of the Week presented by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new Frosty Fusions with flavors like Caramel Crunch, Oreo Brownie, and Pop-Tarts Strawberry. How about the news out of Champaign the other day? Illinois locking up Bret Bielema for another 6 years. That'll take him through the year 2030. His salary, $7.7 million a year it begins at in his 4 seasons in Champaign. I know, that's big numbers. 28-22, 18-18 in the Big Ten. So these are just these are 500 type numbers. I understand where Illinois is, but last season, they matched a school record with 10 wins. They went 10-3, becoming just the 5th team in 133 years to reach double-digit victories in Champaign. Coach, what do you think and what do you like about the fit with Bielema in Champaign?
Well, 7.7, that's like what Rob gets or the Mark gets for the triple option. That's pretty good by
big numbers, man.
Bielema, man.
Hey, we keep running it up. You know, who knows?
So there's coaches that are fits for places, and there's coaches that are not fits. And sometimes you see people hired, and you're like, that's not going to work. That just doesn't fit. I was in the Big Ten. I first got hired in 2012 at Ohio State, and Bret Bielema was a coach of Wisconsin. They were best team in the Big Ten. Remember, they had a couple of Big Ten championships. They had incredible run of running backs. I remember Melvin Gordon, but they had many more than that. White, and incredible run at Wisconsin. He leaves, which everybody was shocked, and went to Arkansas. And that was one of those ones you scratch your heads, that's probably not a great fit. And then he comes to Illinois, and I knew it. I got a lot of respect for him as a coach. He's old school. He's a guy that, he doesn't need the flash. He's not that way at all. He's going to control the line of scrimmage, run that rock, and play great defense. That's who he is, and that's who Illinois is right now. I've always wondered why Illinois couldn't win. There's a nice little tradition there, but Illinois, in my time, was not very good, and that's great to see.
Before your time, they were pretty good, man. They had some defensive studs rolling through Champaign, Simeon Rice and company.
You're talking about a long time ago, man.
I'm talking a long time. Yeah. I'm talking a long time. That offense just hasn't been able to find its groove in a while. But he does seem like, I think that's the perfect description of Bret Bielema at Illinois, Mark. It's like the dude just fits there. Like it makes sense, him wearing the orange and the blue. And by the way, that program, Mark, they're due for a visit from Big Noon.
Hey, I was talking to somebody who was like, we need to come to Champaign. I'm like, we'll pull up to Champaign. We will pull up to Champaign if you give us a reason. You give us a reason and we will come. So now with Bret there, 10-win seasons just last year. So maybe a trip to Champaign is on the horizon.
Yeah. A strong start for Illinois, and Team Big Noon Kickoff is going to be looking at a trip to Illinois. The Triple Option Crystal Ball is brought to you by BetMGM. The NBA playoffs are in the conference finals. Here's an offer for basketball that you won't find anywhere else. Pick the player you think will score the first in the game. If it's not your player, but he scores the second field goal of the game, you get your stake back in cash. That's brought to you by BetMGM. So time now for the Crystal Ball. We turn our focus to the ACC and the conference champion, Clemson. Their win total is set at 9.5. The over you can get for -125, the under for +105. So again, the win total's at 9.5 for Clemson right now. Last year, they went 9-3 in the regular season. Their losses, Georgia, Louisville, South Carolina. Did beat SMU in the ACC title game to make the college football playoffs before they fell to Texas in the first round. I think the interesting story, Mark, is they've got a Heisman-worthy quarterback in Cade Klubnik, and Coach Sweeney decided to finally buck his own personal trend and dip his toes into the transfer portal.
Yeah, man. Like you said, Cade Klubnik, you talk about foregoing his... He chose to come back instead of foregoing his eligibility and possibly being one of the best quarterbacks in the draft. And I think that is a huge reason why Clemson will hit the over on this mark, Stoner. They will hit the over on this mark, in my opinion. They got receivers coming back. Dabo hit the portal at some key positions. They got some key guys on the defense coming back, 2 in the secondary, 2 on the D-line, a linebacker, 4 starters on the O-line coming back. And the ACC, in my opinion, just hasn't been that strong as of late. We saw Florida State have a down year. They got to do better this year. Miami with Cam Ward just leaving. So I think this is their time. I think they're prime positioning to make a run at the ACC championship. Not only the ACC championship, but also maybe make some noise in the college football playoff for a national title. So with this quarterback, with Dabo and his pedigree, and how they have addressed the offseason, I think Clemson is in their best position in a long time to go shoot for a national title.
Well, Todd McShay has 6 Clemson Tigers,
six first rounders.
That's pretty impressive. That's Clemson of old. You know, they went on a dry spell there for a while where the NFL draft came and gone, and Clemson didn't make an impact. If they get 6 first rounders, I put them well over the 9.5 that Vegas has them at. However, I give Dabo and I give Clemson credit. They're playing LSU and at South Carolina. Those are their non-conference games. That's a real one. So
hey, let's rip through that schedule. Yeah, let's rip through it real quick. They open with LSU. Yeah, they open with LSU.
We'll give them a question mark. It's versus LSU. It's not at LSU. It's not at LSU. Fine. So we'll just
versus LSU.
Yeah,
we'll put a pause in that one. That's the Tiger showdown. All right, versus Troy, win.
Dub.
At Georgia Tech,
win.
Versus Syracuse,
dub.
Okay. By the way, do you hear your hesitation? Like, to me, that's saying the ACC is better, right?
Yeah,
because Georgia Tech is sneaky, man.
Right.
I know they are. We know Syracuse is going to be better. Guess what? And then they've got the Fighting Bill Belichick's in Chapel Hill.
What do you say there? I want to hear this one.
You're going to give him a dub. I know you want to give him a dub. You're going to give him a dub. So that's 4. At Boston College, 5. Versus SMU rematch. Home, though.
Dub.
6. Versus Duke.
Dub.
Versus Florida State.
Dub.
8. At Louisville.
Dub.
9. Versus Furman. 10.
Dub.
At South Carolina. At South Carolina. Dub. At South Carolina.
At South Carolina, that's always
South Carolina's
going
to be sneaky good too.
If it's really 6 first rounders, if it's really 6 first rounders, they're going to have a hell of a year. They'll be deep in the playoffs, man.
I think people need to be talking more about Clemson. They're going to hit double-digit wins for sure. Remember, they got Tom Allen now. They dipped into the coaching transfer portal as well, went out of the program, pulled Tom Allen out from Penn State to take over their defense as well. So Clemson, here we are, Memorial Day week. We got high hopes for you come August, September, October, November. What's that?
Get that crystal ball, man.
The crystal ball likes what it sees in Clemson. Follow, subscribe, rate us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as across social media. You can find us at 3X Option Show. Thank you, as always, to our great sponsors, Wendy's, BetMGM, NHTSA. Have a fun and safe Memorial Day weekend.